Picture 6:40 in the morning. A nurse checks her bank account before the shift. $412, 9 years of working hard. Across town, there's a man who earns more before breakfast than she earns in a month. And he hasn't set an alarm in years. Everyone says the difference is luck or talent or something illegal. The data says it's more boring than that. It's a ladder. 4 stages, 0, 10,000, 100,000, a million. The rules change at every stage, and most people lose by playing the wrong stage's rules. Here's what's actually different about that man. It isn't the size of his pile. It's what the pile is made of. 70% of what the richest households own is pieces of businesses. For the bottom half of the country, 7%. Same country, same rules, different paper. This film climbs the ladder from one kind of paper to the other. 4 stages, 1 boring move each, not 4 tricks. And stage 1 starts with a lie you've probably believed your whole life. The lie is that money is the scoreboard. Watch what actually happens when someone builds something. 4 things grow: time, skill, reputation, money. And money moves last. It can flatline for 2 years while the other 3 quietly climb. Most people stare at the flat money bar, decide it's not working, and quit in year 2. About 6 months before it moves. They didn't fail, they were watching the wrong bar. So stage 1 has nothing to do with getting rich. Stage 1 is about buying your first real asset, and it isn't money. Stage 1, you sell hours, a job, and a job can't make you rich. It pays you once per hour, and hours run out. But it does 2 jobs brilliantly. It pays the rent, and it funds your lessons, so play it properly. In America, staying loyal in the same seat gets you about 4% a year. Changing seats gets closer to 6. 2% sounds like nothing. On a $50,000 salary, run 10 years, the person who moved earns about $18,000 more. Every year. After that, same skills, same hours. They just treated the job market like a market. Then take the raise money and buy the real asset. 1 skill people pay for. 1, not 3. Book 1 hour, same day every week, and defend it like a shift. That hour is the entire entry fee of this ladder. This channel came out of an hour exactly like that. It's still in the calendar. But there's a trap waiting right here, and it eats smart people first. It's called getting ready. 1 more course, 1 more book, a little more research. It feels exactly like progress, and it produces nothing anyone can see. Scientists added up 10,000 hours of practice to find what makes people great. Practice explained about a quarter of it. The rest, what you practice and whether you show up. So make the bad first thing, the bad first video, the bad first page. Nobody's watching yet. That's not your problem, that's your protection. Which brings us to the scariest move on the ladder, the jump. Except, there is no jump. Stage 2, you run 2 tracks at once. Keep the job, charge for the skill on the side. There's no leap. There's an overlap, longer than anyone admits, until the new ground holds your weight. The first 50 euros matters more than the amount. A stranger paid for your skill. That's proof. And the moment to step across is arithmetic, not excitement. Your basic costs, covered by the skill, several months in a row. Excitement peaks in month 1. Your plan has to survive month 9. And here's the number that should calm you down. When funded companies die, they die of one thing 70% of the time. The money runs out. A sidetrack that costs almost nothing can't run out of money. It can only stop. Dying isn't something that happens to you here. Stopping is a choice. Which means everything comes down to one boring superpower. On YouTube, 87% of channels never reach 1,000 views. Half of new businesses are gone in 5 years. The middle of the whole platform is 61 subscribers. Those numbers look like a wall. Read them again. They're a map of where everybody else went. They didn't lose. They left. And you don't have to take our word for it. You're inside one of these graphs right now. By the end of this film, most of the people who pressed play will already be gone. Remember that. We'll come back to it. So what stands between you and the top isn't talent or money or luck. It's attendance. Not perfect attendance. You'll get sick, you'll get busy, you'll miss. The people still standing in year 3 are the ones who came back. Stage 3 changes what you sell. A plumber sells an hour. The plumber who saves your flooded kitchen at 2 a.m. sells a result. And results pay several times more for the same skill. What earns you the right to charge for results is reputation. Proof you've done it before. Look back at the 4 bars. Reputation was climbing the whole time. This is where it starts paying. And with real money comes the rule that saves you from yourself. Decide the split before the good month arrives. A fixed share back into the work. A fixed share into savings the business can't touch. You set it on a boring month. Because good months are exactly when people break their own rules. At 50 euros, the point was the lesson. At 50,000, the point is that you don't touch it. Stage 4 is the strange one from the start of this film. It stops being only you. Someone else touches the work, a tool does a job you used to do by hand, and your savings are quietly buying pieces of businesses. The different paper, then 1 year, a line crosses, what your savings earn passes what your job pays. That's the machine that owns things. The move up here is the most boring in the whole file. Do nothing. 76% of the market's best days happen inside the scary years. The people who won the last 20 years mostly just refuse to touch it. Now the part the people selling courses leave out. This map can't fix your wages, or rent, or a medical bill, or a first rung that's genuinely harder than your parents had it. No video can. Anyone promising otherwise is selling something. What it does is smaller and real. It tells you which stage you're standing on and what the next move is. Before you go, your receipt. Remember what we promised to come back to? Look around. Most of the people who press play are already gone. You're still here, 8 minutes into something slow, boring, and useful. That's not flattery. That's the same data as everything else in this file. You just demonstrated the one skill this whole ladder runs on. Staying. So 1 skill, chosen. 1 hour this week, defended. 1 bad first thing, published. That's stage 1. And stage 1 is the only stage you can reach from where you're standing.